was practice today?
Good, intense. Yesterday was pretty good. Today was better.
Feel any better about those O-linemen at this stage?
Not really. Right now we're a patchwork crew out there. We got 7 of 10 in the 2 deep in treatment twice a day. But they're getting all they can right now out of practice. You know, we've had to change some tempos up to kind of make sure they get to work and the ID stuff. But you know, we'll be all right come Saturday. Right now it's a work in progress.
How much of a complicating factor is that, trying to put together a game plan when you're still kind of uncertain about that O-line?
Yeah, you know, you got to have plan A, plan B, and even a plan C based on who's available and how they're holding up, you know, as the game unfolds.
Is that a tough spot to have? That feels like a tough place to mitigate problems, even relative to other spots in the field.
Yeah, it is. You know, Matt's a really good coach, and he's a good teacher. You know, we've got some guys that have played different positions, which is I've always believed in that. So there's some flexibility. You know, and the thing is, we're working through a lot of different things. We did it yesterday. We did it Sunday. Like, so, you know, it's not like this all of a sudden happens on Wednesday and we got to deal with it. We've had a plan all week, which helps.
How much is Brent, being the tight ends coach, going to help with the blocking, especially from that unit?
Yeah, Brent's he's impactful in the run game. He and Matt have a good relationship. He's coaching the heck out of tight ends, but he's got input from all his years, you know, as a play caller and putting together offensive plans. He's got impact in that room.
Is it harder for this team specifically to make up those spots at tackle? I mean, it seems like that is a very inexperienced spot.
It is. You know, you lose a guy like Xavier, and, you know, it's Johnny, very athletic, you know, can play left or right. Tomas can play tackle or guard. Montavious can play guard or tackle. But, you know, Brody being out, you know, a stalwart inside who's actually played some tackle too. You know, Muskrat's back practicing. That's encouraging. You know, he's a tackle guy. He's played out there a bunch. So, you know, and then Aiden Lynch is a guy we're super excited about. He's just young. Right now, you know, he's not sure about things. Having a full week of practice, you know, getting a bunch of good reps has helped him. Because when you hesitate out there, you know, at any position, it usually doesn't go well.
How about Heath? Takai?
He didn't look too good today. You know, he tried. He did a few things, but you know, I'd say he'll be a game time decision.
And we asked you about Keelan Adams, Chance Wiggins in the preseason, but they kind of haven't been on the depth chart or anything. Are they still looking long term right now?
Yeah, they're getting closer. One of them's closer than the other one, to be honest. I think we'll have them both back, you know, mid-season, maybe a little bit sooner with one of them. But we're still a couple weeks away.
Coach, you mentioned that the team may have looked tired in the second half. Do you make any playing time or rotation adjustments to help keep guys fresher in the second half?
Yeah, it wasn't rotation. When we looked at the reps and those kind of things, it wasn't that. You know, we looked at the workload. The big thing this week, you know, we can't go back and change, but we can learn from it, but is to make sure that we got these guys back yesterday. You know, that we had the type of practice where they were back and they felt good and they were sudden and moving around. And then, you know, wanted them to come out, needed them to come out today and look fast and look quick, and they did.
Is Tucker someone you want to try to get more involved, both in the offense and also in the return game?
Yeah, obviously in the return game. We've you know, that's an explosive play. You know, 1 a game, maybe 2. You know, but we got to get that going. We've really doubled down there, and then at the same time, you know, he's a rotational guy at receiver right now that knows what to do, and you know, he's going to continue to get opportunities.
With punt return, is that a case of you haven't made the most of opportunities, or the opportunities just haven't been there?
Yeah, they really haven't been there. They really haven't been there. And we still, you know, we have a rush mentality versus certain groups and what they do, but we have to be able to, you know, do a nice job returning it as well.
And with ODU's run game, getting to Davis, that the number 20, the transfer from Georgia military, broke off several long runs against NC Central. What does he add to their offense that they didn't have?
Yeah, I think he's a guy that can go the distance. You know, it's not just the quarterback. Both of them have enough speed. You know, you give them a crease, and the way they spread you out, it's hard to have depth to your defense. You know, so when they hit one, you know, it can get some mileage. You know, we got to be right.
Hairston had his first career catch and touchdown. What have you seen out of him since becoming a walk-on 2 years ago?
Who's that?
Hairston?
Yeah, he's done a great job. He's battled through some injuries, but he's very mature. He's very smart. He actually had his best offseason. Became a much better route runner. Looked faster. Had a minor setback here the last couple of weeks, but I think he's ready to go.
Tight end was sort of one position you guys did not address in the offseason, the portal. Was that because of his development?
It was. He made us feel a lot better in the winter, in the spring. You know, he was a nice compliment to Benji, and we have hopes and some excitement about Jay Rikas and what he brings. And then you still have Zeke, you know, as your fourth guy. That's a talented. You know, he's got route running ability. He's got good hands. Still coming in the box, but you know, it's a pretty good group.
Terrion continues to progress.
Yeah, he had a good week. You know, he hadn't practiced much. You know, and last week was day by day, and so now to have a full week with him, where he knows he feels good and he's repping and he's getting, you know, should only help us.
Go back to the offensive line. You said plan A, B, C, all that. Does that approach with Monty? Does he have to scheme things differently to make sure there's help there?
Yeah, I mean, there's different ways you can protect, and we'll have to employ, you know, maybe a couple of them that already are in the playbook. We just have to make sure that we're practicing the right things, that we do have a second plan and even a third plan based on who's available and how we're performing in the game.
Altoona at center, has he kind of been what you've expected?
He actually played really well Saturday. That was, you know, just played okay against South Carolina. We needed better, and he played better last week. He's only going to get better and better. He's smart. He's coachable. He's athletic. You know, he's still a little young. He's going to get bigger and stronger. But he played. He was improved from week one.
Yeah. Couple more.
Matt Moore brought up before the season, like some of these young offensive linemen, you don't know how they're going to react when they get under the lights.
Yeah.
When you got a chance to look at Tommy and Aiden, how did you view that they were able to do? Because they got to go up against starting defensive line for the first time.
Yeah, they look like redshirt freshmen. You know, got a little. Again, what happens is you hesitate because you don't want to be wrong. And when you hesitate against good people, they beat you. That's what we can't do. You know, so they got to get more comfortable. And I think, you know, there's no substitute for experience. And so it's invaluable right now, the work that they are getting. We just got to be able to win games while they do it.
Have you liked your rotation in the back end so far, DB-wise, corners, safeties?
Yeah, you know, I think we're going to continue to give opportunities to some other guys. You know, we got a bunch of depth back there. We got to figure out who's going to, you know, play the best for us. But there's been some even snaps right now. You know, at the corner position, I think the combination of Bass and Quentin Reddish has been pretty good. You know, we got to get Christian Ellis kind of going. You know, he had an injury a while back, and it's just taking a little time. But he's a guy that can help us back there in a bigger role. I think Thomas Williams is getting better. I think, you know, we got some. Christian Williams is finally healthy. You saw him, the pass breakup he made, and then you saw his range and speed tracking that ball carrier down. He's smart. He's long. And then JoJo Krim is a young guy that, you know, we keep feeling like we need to get him out there, even though he's a true freshman.
On Bass, I mean, he's a guy who hadn't, you know, at the college level had not played safety, but you guys kind of raved about him all camp, and then, you know, he seems like he's playing pretty well when he's been in. Have you been impressed with how quickly he's been able to ease over there?
You know, he's eager. That's where he's behind right now. He hasn't had the practice reps that the other guys have had. He didn't play the position at Pitt, so he's still coming from behind, and he's eager. He's anxious. You know, he wants to be right because he's got tremendous playmaking ability. Yesterday he made plays on defense. He made plays on special teams. You know, he's just got to continue to learn the playbook and be assignment sound.